When I was growing up, it was important to listen to the elders because you didn't want to get your ass kicked. Just flat out, it wasn't for any, uh, you know, deep meaning. If the elders told you to go sit down somewhere, you just went and sat down somewhere. I don't think it was for any depth, for any depth. To teach you some ancient mystery. They just wanted you to get out of their ears, get out of their sight. Go sit down somewhere. But the elders play a tremendous role in moving the generations forward. We're supposed to be progressing, and at least in my day, it wasn't about progress. I'm going to go so far, then I want you to go so far, then teach your kids to go so far, so that we can become kind of a legacy of generations. We didn't have that mindset. It was all about survival. It was about getting off the food stamps, and my mom, bless my mom, was being the youngest of the family, moving from the South here in the United States, in a state called Mississippi, during a time where my grandmother was a maid. I don't honestly know what all my aunts were doing, but I know my oldest aunt, she was a maid. But I don't, I don't know. I haven't talked to all of them, but I can tell you this: they lived at a time in the 50s and the 60s where they were in an oppressive atmosphere. They weren't taught to, and this is not true for everyone. That's the reason why I don't even really want to call it a black or white thing, because uh, there were very legacy focused black people as well. Just as there's some legacy focused white people, and these colorisms don't mean anything, black, white, because we're all American here, born in America. So, they just lived in a very oppressive, and what I mean by oppressive is, we were not born into great wealth, great legacy, where our mindset was, let's move our generations forward. But that is the goal, is to perfect the family's name, generation over generation over generation. We just don't have that mindset. Even to this day, I think we're just moving into that mindset, at least in our family. I see it in my cousins and how they're treating their daughters and their sons. I see it in myself and how I'm treating my sons. They're my stepsons, as some people would call them. But it's always been my goal for them to think next level, next place, so that they can position their kids for where they can't go. Because we all go to a certain age. And the reason why I'm focusing on this for this first 5 or 6 minutes or so is because you can't go into the text unless you understand the difference of building for the family and building for yourself. When you build for yourself, you will surround yourself with people who will tell you what you want to hear. Because it's all about you. It's not about building for the family. Going beyond in your thought, in your preparation yourself. Now, this is just how I feel. Excuse me. This is just how I feel. I personally feel that when you're building for legacy's sake, that your todays are spent more on building a foundation, unless one has already been built. And what does that mean? That means the business, the insurance portfolio, the stock portfolio, the education, the family's relationships have already pretty much been built to where and this is called a tribe, to where the elders of your tribe have left you something, like David did for Solomon. And when I mean something, I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about they have left you a legacy in the city. They have built something. And you have relationships to move your children to the next stage of life. And by the way, the children have to accept that too, because children often, I spend a lot of time in Long Beach trying to build for my daughter. My daughter's in Texas. Now if she'll come back, I don't know. And if my name will have any meaning here, I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that for any particular reason, because I'm not saying that just to say that she has to do that. That's her option. It's not a demand, because I still speak into her life. I still help her create, the future. She's decided she wants to buy a franchise in Texas. Okay, so she's training for that. She's decided that she needs a quieter life, which I kind of agree. She really does. So she lives in a small town. Too many distractions in these larger cities. She needs to, that's... And I'm excited that she's made a decision to be healthy. But now she has to build a legacy where she is for her children. The reason why I'm saying all this is because part of the holy agreements is getting beyond yourself. However, it is very attractive sometimes to talk to people who want to tell us what we want to hear. They're called, and I talked about in the previous video, soothsayers. And they work on the, and I was really thinking about this morning, how to present this. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 31. How to present, what is the difference between these personalities? Because in the Christian world, we talk about people who have gifts, and maybe we'll read those as well. And I think the only difference is, or talents rather, gifts and talent, they gift, but the talent that God has given them are along this line. But the only difference is the intention. Verse 31. Let's start at 30. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reference my sanctuary, I the Lord. Verse 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I the Lord your God. Now, when you talk about familiar spirits, it's really easy, I think, to talk about those that can relate to your spirit. Or maybe that's not the way you see it. That's the way I see it. I don't really want people to speak into my life what I want to hear. Now, I get them all the time. And how I know they're familiar spirits is they say positive things. But when you look back on the track record on what they're saying, it doesn't really come to pass. Now, because I think I'm a pretty comfortable guy with myself, I don't tell them about themselves. The reason why is because I'm hoping that the way I live my life will be a demonstration, because I don't want to be a familiar spirit. I don't want to speak something that's just from a wizard's mouth. And I've done it before, and when I've done it, I've lost. I didn't know I was doing it until you grow into this thing. And that's where 32 comes in, where it says, thou shalt rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man and fear thy God, I the Lord. Study this for yourself. We're going from Genesis to Revelation. Right now we're on a journey with the Israelites from Israel to Canaan. We all know now that Canaan is the son of Ham, where Noah years ago promised that the sons of Noah, one of the sons of Noah would, or Ham would serve the other son of Noah. Study it for yourself. I'm not trying to go all the way back to the beginning, but I want to put it in context where you understand that Moses is teaching and giving these tribes the laws of God to operate the kingdom of God. And he's saying to them, don't regard soothsaying wizards who tell you what you want to hear. Listen to the elders. Now, I put that real simple because these are supposed to be simple principles. But it's not that simple, because the inclination of people is to fight. And again, study it for yourself. I just gave you a massive breakdown of the text, the 2 verses. But you have to receive it. You have to go look up Hebrew 178, Hebrew 1 in the Strong's Concordance. Look at the lexicon. You have to look at 7872, the hoary head, and see what that means. You have to analyze the definition of the wizard and the soothsayer, and be honest with yourself about who you allow to speak into your life, and measure it and see if you're actually getting any fruit from the information, Or maybe someone's just telling you what you want to hear. You have to examine if you're pushing away those who don't tell you what you want to hear, but tell you or operate within the kingdom of God and is interested in moving the tribe or the kingdom. You're either moving the tribe or the kingdom or both forward with your language. Soothsayers just want to move themselves forward. In other words, they speak, but they're these long words. Let me say it like this, because I don't want to be a soothsayer. I really don't. So they talk at length in a foolish or inconsequential way about their fathers and their forefathers. Inconsequential way. It doesn't have any value. They talk at length about it. It's foolishness. Now, if that doesn't make any sense to you, maybe you just don't have any foolishness being talked about in an inconsequential way around you. But I've seen this. I've heard this. And I think what it is that people don't understand how to make the tie. And the tie is called action. What tie? In other words, going from foolishness to actual action. And so going from prattling to action. If you want to see the difference, look at the king of Tyre and King David. They went from talking to action. 2 Chronicles chapter 2 verse 13, if you like to look at that. He served David, builder of timber, to build the palace. In other words, moving the tribe forward with actionable relationships. We got a whole. Let me put it like this, because I really want. This is for my grandkids. And this is for my brothers and sisters in Kenya, and if it's a blessing to you, then so be it. I don't want to be around a whole bunch of talkers. I like being around people who aren't scared to take action, have experiences, and still move forward. In other words, I don't want to be around a whole bunch of wizards stirring up ghosts. Read it for yourself. I was hurt. If I do this will happen because of what happened in the past. Instead of Leviticus 19 verse 32, which talks about being around the elders. Why would you want to be around elders? The hoary heads, gray hair guys, who took action and are considered wise in the community. Why? Because they've gone through the experiences. And they know how to guide you in taking action. To do what? To move the kingdom of God forward. I'll say it again because it stands out in my ears and it stands out in my spirit. One of my spiritual fathers who told me he likes to get on moving trains. In other words, the train is moving and then he gets on board and he's excited about those who are moving forward. That's not what this is. Moses went and moved the train. Moses was the elder who came out of his comfort zone, built a team, his brother and Miriam, built a team, went into Pharaoh, demonstrated the miracles, built the relationships with the tribal leaders, got them on board, went through the challenges of the plagues, stood strong, was involved with the demonstration of God. We got a whole bunch of soothsayers today that are waiting for someone to become successful so that they can get on board. So that they can come across as looking successful instead of building the kingdom of God and his people. Read it for yourself. Information is there. I would love your help in continuing this ministry. We are going from Genesis to Revelation. I do not know how long it's going to take. But if you can help me, God bless you. GoFundMe. I notice I have 2 GoFundMe pages there. I need to build one for this in particular, but if you can donate, then God bless you. On the GoFundMe page, just type in Paul C. Dozier. And then on Cashapp, $ MrPaulDozier. That would be great if you can be a blessing to me as I go through the Bible little by little, and so that we can move the kingdom forward. That's my goal. Bless you.